ladies and gentlemen, I would like to talk to you this evening about developing your business strategy. And let me kick off with a quote from a famous businesswoman in history, a woman who succeeded in the ultra-competitive, cutthroat world of marrying millionaires. She was the 1930s screen siren Mae West, and she said this: "I only like two kinds of men, domestic and imported." Of perhaps greater relevance to this speech, she also said, "A man's kiss is his signature." KISS has another meaning, ladies and gentlemen. It is also an acronym used by the US military for the last 50 or so years as a fundamental principle of weaponry design. And it stands for
Keep it simple, stupid.
Keep it simple, stupid. And Kisstrategy is my contention this evening that we should keep business strategy as simple as possible. Kisstrategy should be the signature of your business. It has three elements. 1, understanding the market. 2, creating competitive advantage. And 3, managing risk. First, understanding the market. How big is the market that your businesses address? And is it growing? How tough is the competition? And is it getting tougher? Take as an extreme the market for UK retail and the retail entertainment industry. The likes, for example, of HMV, Zavvi, Tower, Woolworth were assaulted by a most extraordinary set of competitive forces over the last 15 or so years. For example, new entrants. First of all, there came the supermarkets selling highly discounted CDs and DVDs, only the top sellers, the top 20. And then along came the likes of the e-tailers, Amazon and Play.com. And then there were the substitute forces of online downloading. First of all by pirates, secondly by iTunes, and now of course the likes of Spotify. It was the competitive environment from hell. In another context, the French philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre said, hell. Oh, no, he didn't. He said, elle. Elle, it is other people. Yeah, it's true. And the second competitive force, ladies and gentlemen, the second element of Kisstrategy, ladies and gentlemen, is creating competitive advantage. How well placed is your business in relation to the competition? How can you strengthen that competitive position? How can you create sustainable advantage? Take the example of Facebook. Facebook was created by an undergraduate who wanted a date. He now has 1.5 billion users he can choose from. But it was floated a couple of years ago on the New York Stock Exchange for the most astronomical price. And one had to ask the question, have these investors not considered the possibility that one day somebody could come along who could do to Facebook what Facebook did to MySpace? I mean, can Facebook's competitive advantage be indefinite? It's operating in an industry with huge and rapid technological change, with low costs of startup, with minimal barriers to customers switching. So, how can it be valued so highly? And that's forgetting about the retro risk. I mean, when I was a lad, we had another phrase for social networking. We called it getting a life. And the third factor, ladies and gentlemen, is managing risk. Once you start developing your business strategy, which will give you an acceptable return, are you sure that it's going to be achievable within an acceptable degree of risk? So as an example, take the Beatles. Imagine that you are a record producer for Parlophone Records in 1963, and the Beatles come along. Would you back them? Would you have backed them? At the time, one of your rivals, Decca Records, was one producer there was saying that, in his view, 1950s style beat groups, Buddy Holly beat groups, were a thing of the past. No more guitar groups. They were a fad of the 1950s. That was a prevailing philosophy. Meanwhile, in Liverpool alone, there were 24 such groups, just like the Beatles. And these four lads, they were rude, they were unruly, their voices were pretty mediocre, they didn't write their own material then. Would you have backed them? If you did, good call. You got a ticket to ride to Penny Lane. Money, that's what you wanted. Not when you're 64, but yesterday. Listen, in summary, keep your strategy simple. Make that Kisstrategy as simple as you can. Understand the market, create competitive advantage, and manage the risks. And let me summarize with one final quote. In 1940, Winston Churchill was requested by his officials to try and be more friendly towards the leader of the Free French Army, General Charles de Gaulle. Churchill thought about this for a while. He said, "All right, next time I see the fellow, I shall act like a Frenchman. I shall kiss him on both cheeks. Or if you prefer, on all four."